Oh,
Oh, okay, beautiful. Uh, all right. Can y'all see my screen?
yes.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah,
All right.
So do we have to turn on our camera?
I don't think so, because with the
Oh,
recording, you could only see the presentation.
oh, then that's fine. Okay. So let's start.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining our webinar today. Today, we're exploring how clean energy and sustainability shape our world and our future. I'm Nicole.
I'm
I'm
Hector.
I'm Rhiannon.
I'm Stephanie.
Before we dive deeper into our topic, let's start with three key terms that you'll hear throughout this webinar: clean energy, renewable energy, and sustainability. These words are often used together, but they don't always mean the same thing. So before I explain them, I'd like to hear from you first. When you hear this term, what comes to your mind? You can type a quickly word or phrase in the chat, maybe something like solar panel, green energy, protecting the planet, or anything you associate with this concept. Is there anyone has the idea?
I mean, I typically think of like recycling when I think of sustainability or renewable energy.
Oh, thank you. Yes, that's a great idea. And now let's look at what each term actually means and how they work together. So first, clean energy refers to energy that produced with little or no greenhouse gas emissions, meaning it doesn't contribute much to air pollution or climate change. For example, unlike fossil fuels, clean energy sources such as solar, wind, and hydropower generate electricity without releasing large amounts of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. On this slide, you can see examples like solar panel and wind turbines, which are some of the most common clean energy technology we use today. Overall, the goal of clean energy is to provide power in a way that's safe for planets, helping us reduce global warming and create a healthier environment for future generations. Now, let's talk about the renewable energy. Renewable energy is energy that comes from natural sources which are replenished faster than they are consumed. For example, sunlight and wind are constantly available. They don't run out no matter how much we use them. Water is also an example of renewable energy. The key idea here is that renewable energy relies on nature's continuous cycles, unlike fossil fuels, which take millions of years to form and are eventually depleted. By using renewable energy, we can reduce dependence on non renewable sources and move closer to a sustainable future. It is important to note that not all renewable energy is completely clean, but also clean energy does come from renewable sources. For example, hydropower power is renewable because it uses flowing water, but building large dams can sometimes harm ecosystem and local habitats. So while renewable energy focus on where the energy comes from, clean energy focus on its environmental impact. That's the key difference between the two. Now let's move on to the last key concept, sustainability. Sustainability means using resource responsibly so that future generations can continue to meet their own needs. You can think of it as our long-term goal, and clean, renewable energy are the tools that help us reach it. As shown in this graphic, we move from renewable energy to clean energy to sustainability, forming a continuous cycle that supports both people and the planet. This idea also connected closely to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, especially SDG 7, affordable and clean energy, which encourage countries to expand renewable energies use and fight climate change. A simple example of sustainability in daily life could be recycling material, saving electricity at home, or designing green buildings that use less energy. Every small, mindful action adds up to a more sustainable future for everyone. Now that we've covered the main concept, let's talk about why clean energy and sustainability really matter. First, clean and renewable energy help us combat climate change by reducing greenhouse gas emissions. They also help reduce air and water pollution, which improve public health and protect ecosystems. Another reason is that clean energy creates new green jobs and economic opportunities, especially in fields like solar panel, wind technology, and energy efficiency. And finally, this effort support global goals such as the Paris Agreement and the United States Sustainable Development Goal 7, affordable and clean energy. In today's webinar, you will learn about the different type of renewable energy, the challenge and innovation driving sustainability, and how individual and community can take action to make a difference. Now that we understand the key ideas, let's move on explore the different type of renewable energy, which Hector will introduce next.
Thanks, Nicole. Now that Nicole has shown us why we should pursue clean energy and renewable energies, we would be talking about the different types of renewable energies that we use nowadays. We'll start with the two people often hear the most, solar and yeah, we're going to be talking about solar energy first. Solar energy is a very common renewable energy, and it has the advantage of being abundant and widely available to people. And due to economies of scale, it's relatively cheap for individuals to produce and to purchase. However, the cons are it requires the the sunlight for it to work, and you need lots of land and space as well. Next, we're going to talk about wind power, hydropower, biomass, and geothermal renewable energies. So for wind power, its advantage is its high efficiency and large scale output. Also, a clean and zero emission energy generation. However, just like solar energy, it requires an intermittent, which is wind in this case, and it can often produce visual and noise pollutions, which raises concerns of people. For hydropower, it's very reliable because you run it on baseline power, and it has relatively low operating costs compared to such as wind power because you need to repair them often. However, hydropower creates a huge environmental and social impact and often raises concerns among environmentalists. And for biomass, it uses organic waste and can be carbon neutral during its energy production. However, it causes potential air pollution and also requires land for it to generate energy. And last, we're going to talk about the geothermal energy. It's also very reliable, like the hydropower. It runs 24/7 and leaves very small land footprint. However, it can still cause air pollution and can be location specific. It also has high setup cost and you can only build it in geologically active areas. For example, Iceland, they run almost entirely on geothermal power. And as you can see, there's no single perfect solution to green energy generation. They all have different strengths and weaknesses. But that brings us to a point. In order to make any green energy reliable and dominant, we have to solve the cons and its problems, such as how do we store solar energy for nighttime, and how do we use geothermal power to the countries that lack the source. And we'll pass the slides to Stephanie for her to address the rest of the slides.
Thank you. So now I'll be talking about clean energy and how it connects to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 7. So SDG 7 aims to ensure access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for everyone, according to their website. And energy is fundamental to our daily lives. It powers homes, schools, hospitals, and businesses, and almost every industry needs energy. So while access to electricity has improved globally, with about 92% of people now having electricity, there are still 2.1 billion people that still rely on polluting fuels for cooking. So achieving SDG 7 means not only increasing access to energy, but also shifting to renewable, clean sources and improving energy efficiency overall and in a worldwide scale. Although the progress is being made now, there are several. Oh, sorry. Next slide, please. So you might wonder what this SDG 7 targets. So the United Nations sets a time period which is till 2030. So they aim to improve the universal access to modern energy services, increase share of renewable energy, double the global rate of improvement in energy efficiency, and enhance international cooperation and infrastructure for clean energy technology. Next, please. So although the progress is being made, there are several challenges still remain on the path of using clean energy. So the first challenge will be cost. So setting up renewable energy infrastructure like solar panels and wind turbines, it really requires significant upfront investment. And the storage system and grid integration just further increase the expenses. So for vulnerable communities, these costs can make clean energy unaffordable for them, and which can create a sense of inequality. So reducing the cost of using clean energy is the key to making this kind of energy accessible for everyone. Then the second challenge is storage and intermittency. So solar and wind energy really depends on the weather conditions, which means that the energy supply isn't always predictable and stable. So there might be situations where people needs the energy, but the weather conditions isn't nice for the system to produce the energy they needed. So without an effective storage system, there can be gaps between supply and demand. So even though the current storage solutions are improving, but they're still expensive, especially our large scales. So addressing this challenge is very crucial for a reliable and stable energy. The next one is inequality and access. So many rural or low-income communities, particularly in those developing countries, there is still lack of electricity or they just rely on polluting fuels. So even if technologies exist now, there are still unequal distribution between those countries, and this kind of unequal distribution just prevents these communities from benefiting from this type of energy. So it's very important to ensure that the clean energy reaches everyone, not just the wealthy or urban populations. The last one will be the policy infrastructures. There are another major hurdle of using clean energy. So since many regions are lack of consistent policies or incentives to support renewable energy, and upgrading electrical grids and creating infrastructures for renewable energy can be expensive and slow as well. And the legacy fossil fuel system just make this even more complex. So we really need clear policies and better infrastructures for scaling clean energy solutions. Next, I'm going to be talking about the innovations. So the first one will be advanced energy storage technologies. So it's helping to solve the intermittency problem. So flow batteries, for example, it allows large scale and long duration storage of electricity. And the new materials and battery designs are improving efficiency and lowering the cost. So these technologies are making renewable energy more reliable and it help reduce the overall cost of it. And the next one is green hydrogen, which is another solutions for the challenges that I just mentioned. So it is produced from renewable energy and it can store energy in long term and be used in various industries like steel, transport, and heavy manufacturing. It can also support remote communities by converting the renewable energy into a storable, transportable fuel energy. So it really can help solve multiple challenges like storage, cost, and access at the same time. So it's just really beneficial for the people who are using it, the clean energy right now. Then the next will be the smart grids and decentralized energy systems. So it allows local generation and consumptions. For example, the microgrids or building integrated solar panels can reduce dependence on central grids, which is especially important in remote areas. And so these systems improve access and reduce the cost and also support infrastructure development, which is also all very important in using the clean energy. Then the last one will be innovative financing and business models. They are also key innovations in the clean sources. So public-private partnerships, microfinance for solar panels, and community-based energy programs really help overcome the financial barriers. And by making clean energy affordable for everyone, these solutions help ensure that the underserved communities are also benefited and they're being able to use clean energy since it is a very expensive sources to use compared to other ones now in the market. Now we'll be letting Rianne to talk about the rest of it.
All right, thank you, Stephanie. So what I will be talking about is how can you and your communities get involved, just so that you know that you also have power within working towards this issue. So contributions that we can do as people is recycling. Recycling is one of those things that you're just like, it maybe doesn't matter, but um it does, and it makes a big difference whether you're recycling water bottles, glass bottles, anything that can be reused, or even reusing it in your house, like the pasta sauces. Cleaning them up and then changing it into something different is definitely something to help the world become a better place. And then spreading the word. People to people connections are super important, and we're more likely to listen to each other than reading an article. So if you talk about how important recycling is, somebody else is more likely to do it. If you talk about sustainability on a scale like to your coworkers, to your friends, it definitely makes a long-term impact on everyone's lives. Conserving energy. So we all know that like we keep things plugged in, our chargers are always there for us, but if we unplug our chargers, if we turn off the lights when we're not using them, if we keep our consumption low, this also helps go towards sustainability and participating in our communities. On the next slide, we'll see more things that the communities can do, but being a part of our communities, we're in a very technological state. And so we're all reliant on our phones, our computers, just connecting with each other through social media. So if we take the time to go back to the basics and go outside and walk around and meet other people, that also is sustainable and keeps our energy levels low. So within the community, there's social, economic, and local levels that can be helped So for social sustainability, there's community initiatives like beach cleanups, repair cafes, and seed libraries. So going to the library, picking out a book versus going to Barnes and Noble and buying a new one. These are the different types of things that help us keep sustainability at the front of our minds and also save us money in the long run. And then there's also education and skills sharing. So like if we give workshops to the residents of different cities or states about sustainability and this emphasizing the importance, we can help out the climate change more than we'd ever know because human is more important than computer to human. And then teaching at schools. So like there's different like PTA meetings that people can go to. And if we make it important in our lives to teach each other, it'll have a tenfold impact for making everything better. And then supporting local businesses because local businesses are more likely to impact change. Like I can only speak for the US because that's what I know, but 80% of our economy is local businesses. So if we start at the forefront of what is the biggest impact of us for our economic sustainability, things are more likely to change. Like Walmart and Publix's, they're not going to change their habits because that's what's worked for them. But if we go to like the local mom and pop coffee shops and different grocery stores, the little fiestas, those can make an impact in our lives. And then having walkable neighborhoods or access to public transit. This means that less people are buying cars or having fossil fuels come from their gas tanks. So these different things help us on an economic standpoint. Then for our local levels, there's green infrastructure that the governments can put in. So like having green buildings, solar panels, renewable energy, because you're less likely to do local energy on your house. But if we have the government putting it into the different local businesses that they're supporting, it definitely helps to build that impact. And then having eco-friendly public spaces. So like people going to the library, people meeting up to have dinner, like having people come together to now make the economy a better place or just have more sustainable practices within their local lives makes this so much easier of an initiative to push. And that's it. Does anyone have any questions for anyone of the presentations that we've given?
No, I think so. Does anyone has any question?
Okay. Well then, clean power for a better future and eco-friendly energy innovation is what we're all pushing towards. And that's the end of the presentation.
Thank you very much.